Hello, people. I have posted the hard copy of the solution to quiz number 3 on Canvas, but I would like to perhaps uh, talk about this thing verbally to you through this short video clip. Okay, this is the white quiz, and there were 3 problems. So let me see for a second. Okay, it says here is your function, trigonometric function. Well, first of all, identify the amplitude. The amplitude is the thing that is multiplied by sine, okay? So you look at this. You can think about it as 3 minus 1 times sine of 1/2 x plus 1/4. Now notice that the amplitude, we discussed it in class, it's always positive. Therefore, this is the amplitude. Amplitude equal to 1. Do not say amplitude equal to -1. Okay? Now, the k is the thing that's multiplied by x. So k is equal to 1/2. Okay? The only thing now by the way, the only thing that I caution you is that if you just left it like this, you may be under the impression that this 1/4 that you see here is the shift, but that is not the case, because when we talked about the phase shift, the equation was written as a sine of k times x minus b. In other words, it is true that k is immediately 1/2, but what I can do, I can factor the 1/2 out to identify the value of the shift correctly. So it's going to be plus 1 over 2, okay? 1 over 2. So now, when you look at this, think about it. When you compare this with that entry, your minus b is 1/2, which means your b is equal to minus 1/2. In other words, the phase shift is minus 1/2, not the 1/4 that you see up there. Some people wrote that the phase shift is 1/2 to the left. Okay, that's all right. I accept that. Okay, but the value of the b is minus 1/2, and b is the phase shift. Now, we still have not found the period. Okay, we have not found. This is not the period. The period is given as 2 pi over k, which means 2 pi over 1/2, which means 4 pi. So look at the question. The question was, okay, let me see. The question was, what is the amplitude? The amplitude was 1. What is the period? The period was 4 pi. And what is the phase shift? Phase shift minus 1/2. Okay? Good. Let's go to the next problem. This problem, there was a mistake here. On the actual copy that I distributed, I said sine, but I immediately announced that this is supposed to be cosine, so here it is corrected. Okay. Now, it says, well, identify A, K, and B. Okay? Presumably A is the amplitude. K is the thing that's multiplied by x, okay? And B is the phase shift. Okay. First of all, you look at this. It says that this is one period. So immediately you realize that the period is equal to 2, right? The period is 2. Because just look, the distance from here to 0, whereas one cycle is showing, is 2 units. Now, if the period is 2, then you write down it's equal to 2 pi over k, because we're dealing with a cosine curve, and that immediately tells you that k is equal to pi. So we have found k. Now the amplitude is the variation of your function about the average value. So you can see that this function is varying between the horizontal axis +2 up, +2 down, and amplitude is always positive, so this is 2. And this is your pi. And finally, the phase shift. The phase shift is, look, ordinarily the cosine term, the cosine function that we discussed is like that, okay? But the piece that I have here is like so, okay? So this whole thing is shifted to the left by 2 units, okay? Goes from here to here, okay? Because the piece that I drew for you was, let me see for a second. The piece that I drew for you was the thing over there, okay? And you look at this, it's shifted to the left by 2. So your B is the coordinate of this point, which is -2, okay? So it says, okay, write it in this form now. You have y equal to a was 2 sine. Your k was a pi times x minus 2. It's minus b, but b is -2, so this is equal to 2 sine of pi times x plus 4. Not 2, 4, plus 2. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not sine, this is cosine. Whoa, cosine. Remember, I asked you to fix it. It says here cosine, right there, cosine. So that is the solution to this problem. Okay, so now let's go to the last problem. It says, here's your function. What is the period of this thing? Now remember, this means 1 over cosine of 2x. So the period of, and when you look at it, this is the value of k for cosine. Incidentally, that is the value of k here, same thing, which is 2, k equal to 2. So we discussed this thing in class, that the period of secant and cosine are the same, but what is the period of cosine? Well, it's 2 pi over k. And this is what I also said about the period of course, secant and cosecant and sine. So we just plug it in. So it's going to be 2 pi over 2. So the period is pi. Period is pi. Okay, good. Now we want to plot this. And I said that you can actually, if you want, you can use your calculator, but make sure you transfer the graph in a meaningful way to your paper. So first of all, the period is we discussed this, the period is pi. So we're going to plot this thing between 0 and pi. And remember, we're plotting secant, which is 1 over cosine of 2x. So the places, this is secant of 2x, right? The places where the denominator is 0, we've got a serious problem. So the midpoint is pi over 2, but at pi over 4, which is right here, and 3 pi over 4, we have a serious problem, because cosine of 2 times pi over 4 is cosine of pi over 2, which is 0. That means we have vertical asymptote at these two locations. Right there, one here, and one there. All right. Now I'm going to draw the cosine for you, the secant for you. So let's see now, what's the value at 0? When you set the cosine of x equal to 0, cosine of 0 is 1. So this whole thing is 1, right? At this point is 1. And the function blows up as we approach pi over 4. Try pi. You plug in pi here. You get cosine of 2 pi. That's also 1. So the function height is 1 at that location. So this is a plus 1. And then it goes to infinity as you approach these two values, pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4. Now, what about the pi over 2? If you put pi over 2 here, you get cosine of 2 times pi over 2, cosine of pi, which is minus 1. So you have 1 over cosine, 1 over minus 1, and then the function blows up and it goes like this. This value is minus 1. Okay? Yeah, that's pretty much it.